Hiya and welcome to another In the Kitchen with Carl. Today I should be attempting to make pork pies. It's an easy recipe, but it's a bit time consuming as things have to be left to cool down and put in the fridge overnight, etc. The tins I'll be using are these ones. These are 2 inches deep and just over 4 inches across. That'll make quite a large pork pie, and it also has a release catch there to release the pie once it's baked. Here are the fillings for the pork pie. We'll start off with the pastry. I have 500 grams of bread flour, strong bread flour, 200 grams of lard, 180 mils of water, 4 grams of salt, and 1 egg for the egg wash. For the filling, I have 650 grams of pork that's cubed and 100 grams of bacon lardons. I have 15 grams of salt, 8 grams of pepper, I'm using black pepper, half a teaspoon of ground mace and a pinch of mustard. I shall also be using later on gelatine and chicken stock, which will be for the jelly, but we don't need that just now, so I shall put that to one side. The first thing we're going to do is the meat. Get the meat ready, because we need to chill that in the fridge. And the first thing we'll do, I'm going to put all my ingredients in. And then I'm going to mix this all together. Now I have washed my hands, so just mix all that together so it all infuses nicely. All mixes together. Try not to squeeze it too much, because we don't want it into like a mince. That's good enough. Now what we'll do, I'll just wash my hands. I'm now going to cover that, if I can, with some cling film. Now I'm going to leave that in the fridge now, overnight. What we need to do now is to put our water into the saucepan, put our lard in, and at this stage the salt. I'll bring you back once I've got this sorted. As you can see here, I've had me water and lard on the stove, brought it to the boil so all the lard has melted. I'm now going to put my flour in. This is strong bread flour, and I'm going to put this straight into my mix there. Now, this is a hard crust pastry. I'll give that a stir. This is a hard crust pastry, which is ideal for pies, pork pies especially. And it's a very forgiving pastry. Now be careful when you're using this, because don't put your hands in it just yet, because it's boiling. You have to let it cool down a bit. There we are. So that's good enough. Now it's going to still be hot, so be careful. But I'm going to knead that now for at least a minute so it's nice and smooth. It is still quite hot, and the reason you knead it is so that all the lard is melted and they're all mixed in with the flour. It's a very forgiving pastry. You don't need to flour your work surface. I think that is good enough now. Right, I'll leave that now to cool down. I'll cover it up and leave that to cool down now until it's ready to wrap into king film. I'll bring you back later. Well, I've uncovered my pastry and I'm going to now wrap that into the cling film. I don't know if I did mention that this is actually a hard crust pastry or a hot water crust pastry it actually is. Now I'll leave that to cool down to one side. That will go in the fridge now until the morning, and I'll bring you back then. Well, here we are back again. I've had the pastry and the meat in the fridge overnight. I've now divided the pastry up into four, well 5 in actual fact. 4 for the liners and a quarter for the tops. These weigh about 160 grams each. So we'll move them apart there. Then we're going to roll one of these out. This pastry is very forgiving, so if you need to put a bit of pastry on, put a bit of bit of flour on, just put a little bit on. Don't put too much on. That'll do. And then we'll get one of our tins and we'll drop this in. Just drop it in nice and easy. You don't want no air pockets in it. Well, that's my first one done. I'll bring you back when I've done the others. Right, I've got all my pastry tins now lined, and I've took the meat, the filling out of the fridge, and I need about 175, 180 grams for each wad. So this is just a little bit too much there. Yeah, about that. And then make it into a nice little ball. There's our tins done with the meat in. And the next thing we need to do is make our tops. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a hole in the middle. That is for the steam to come out. And so we can put the jelly in as well. I'm just going to turn that over. I'm just going to wet just around the edges here. And I'm going to cut off the excess. Well, there's all our pies ready now, just ready for the egg wash, which I'll bring you back when I've done that. That's them all now egg washed. Right, I shall bake these pies in the oven for 50 minutes at 170 centigrade. But I will check them, the internal temperature, because that needs to be at least, the meat needs to be cooked to at least 75 centigrade. I'll bring you back once they're baked. Right, I've got the pies out of the oven, and I'm just now going to check the temperature. I'm looking for about 75 centigrade. And that's 87, that's cooked. That's 91, these look like they're all cooked. Yeah, they're all cooked. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to let them cool down for 15 minutes or so. And once they've cooled down, I'll mix the jelly, well, the stock and the gelatine, and we'll pour them in. Now this will make the jelly. We're hoping it'll go all the way around and at the top of the pork pies. Right, here I have 240 ml of hot water, and I shall put the chicken stock in. And then here I have 3 sheets of gelatine that will soak in cold water to soften them up. Now they've softened up a bit. I'll pull them out, squeeze any excess water out of it, and then I'll put them in there to dissolve. Right, I'm now going to pour the jelly in, and what I'm using is a little funnel, and I'll pour these into these very gently. Well, here's a complete article of the pork pies. These have been in the fridge overnight, and so that the jelly can set in between. I think you can see just down here the jelly around the sides, and we'll give it a taste test in a minute. Well, here we are with the pork pie. We'll give it a bit of a test. That is very nice indeed. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give a like, and if you can, subscribe. And until the next time, bye for now.
Hey Doc, what's cooking?